I'm Trevor.
I'm Trax.
Welcome to the Red Squadron podcast. Welcome back, guys, for another week of the podcast. We're so happy you're back with us. Recently, we've been doing a lot of things like gaming, videos with friends, movie rankings, some heated debates on whether or not Palpatine's a fraud. So we're kicking season 2 off very strong, and we're glad that you're still with us here at this point. We did want to again shout out one of our sponsors. You can't see this card, but we can. It's Becca Paintings. Yep.
Hence the paintings up here. As promised last episode, we said we were going to start hanging them up.
Permanent part of ours, and she was very kind to send us some art. So definitely give her page a check out, and we will link that down below.
And a sticker.
Yes.
And a sticker.
And a sticker.
Yeah.
But make sure to check her out if you love Star Wars, or even if you love like Pirates of the Caribbean. She does some other one-off things as well. But we appreciate that and the free artwork. Today, I think we have a good one for you. It's going to be a lot of like modern Star Wars project talks. So we're going to kick things off with an intro topic where we're going to talk just a little bit about our thoughts and our initial things and feelings of Tales of the Underworld. Mm-hmm. So Trax, give me a 1 through 10 rating for you and maybe something that stuck out to you.
I feel like this is going to be low. I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay.
I wasn't like entranced by it. To be honest, I'm going to kind of make myself look bad here. Asajj Ventress's arc, I was kind of on my phone a little bit too much.
Okay.
And you can't do that with these shorts. I mean, there's
like 15 minutes.
They couldn't keep my attention for 15 minutes. Like, I don't prefer to see Asajj Ventress be this teacher of a young Padawan. It just doesn't fit right with me. The Cad Bane arc, am I rating them separately? Can I rate them separately? Or is it together? Like,
I would say it together overall.
Together overall is a 7. Okay. If they were separate, Cad Bane's would have been higher. I actually was very intrigued by that. I thought there was a nice emotional background to the story. Interesting to see how he grew up. I thought that was pretty good. It's worth a watch if you're just sitting down and need something to throw on. It's not going to be like this awesome world beater like the show we're going to be talking about in a few minutes here, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a tough one, and we've already talked about having an episode where we kind of rank and compare Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, and Tales of the Underworld. So we will for sure give you guys a more in-depth answer going forward. For me, I would say I go back and forth 7, 8, so it's probably like a 7.5.
I don't think they'll ever be. How could they be a 10? Like, what would make it a 10 for you? Because I have no idea what would make it a 10. I think it's too short to be a 10.
But just both of the series have to have a concise story that can be told. The Cad Bane story I thought was concise enough that they got what they accomplished. They did what they set out to do. Mm-hmm. Like, they told that complete story. Yeah. Asajj's feels incomplete, obviously. Mm-hmm. It feels like it's setting something else up.
Yeah.
And again, you spend so much time just learning this new character that by the end of episode 3, like, you don't feel like much has progressed with the one that we know of actually Asajj. So for me, that's why it's a little bit lower. I personally would love, if they're going to go that route, I want to see it fully embraced in like a full mini-series, maybe like Kenobi, where it's just 6-ish episodes, and it's her with the Padawan. But like, it felt a little bit odd of a choice for just 3 short episodes.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. There was no like growing with Asajj Ventress essentially. I mean, she learned to like the kid, I guess. What was the kid's name? I thought it was gonna be Kanan for a second. But it's not. But I wish it was. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah. So again, overall pretty good. I think something that stood out for me though, a memorable scene was just the first scene of Asajj Ventress's arc, like with Kenobi, Quinlan, and Asajj dying.
Yeah.
And actually, I've heard from 1 or 2 people that bothers them because in Dark Disciple, which is one of the novels, it flushes that out way more. But now they're just kind of bringing Asajj back. But in my mind, like, it honored that book by even having it mentioned, right? Like the Quinlan romance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it leaves some questions, I guess, about how come other Night Sisters aren't coming back from the dead and stuff like that.
Right. I might not remember this. How did she die? Is that ever on screen? I feel like I'm blanking right now.
I don't recall it being on screen.
Okay.
I think, from what I remember, it's like I thought it might have been one of the unfinished Clone Wars arcs, and she would have died there.
Okay. I find it interesting that Kenobi went at all.
I mean, I don't know. I think it was a respect thing to be with Quinlan.
Mm.
And I think him and Asajj had this weird
passion.
They did. No, they talk as if they're like frenemies.
Asajj is flirty. I will say that.
You know what I'm saying? They talk as if they're frenemies when they're like fighting. But anything that stood out for you?
Standard? Yeah. There really. I mean, I just rated it so low. There wasn't I thought the end of Cad Bane's series was the best part for me.
That's his kid. Right?
Yeah, I thought. I didn't know that for a fact. I'm pretty sure that was Cad Bane's kid. There's something I need to tell you. I'm 90% sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I gotta look it up, but I'm 90% sure.
Not to be colorist in Star Wars, but that kid was Cad Bane's color. The other guy was green.
Was the wife green?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Or not the wife, but
yeah,
what? Same difference.
I think it's insinuated because they were they didn't want him to find out, so I think that's insinuating that it's his kid.
Mm. Was he going to tell him though? It looked like he was going to tell him.
Yeah. So that makes me think it's his kid. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Overall, I think you should give it a watch if you got nothing going on. Don't if you got something more important to do, don't go out of your way to go watch it, but watch it eventually.
But it's so short that it's really not. You can sit down and watch practically the whole arc in 45 minutes.
I think I finished it in 45.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth a watch because it's quick, and I think it's expanding the universe. If I had to guess, Asajj's arc is setting up a different show or a different or a different appearance. Okay. I think. Okay. So I think just for the continuity, I would watch it.
Yeah. If something comes out.
Yeah. We're excited though for the main topic today. We're actually going to be covering Andor. I'm kind of taking it all as Andor season 1, season 2, the whole show, and a little bit of tie into Rogue One, our thoughts on how that affects that. But yeah, we wanted to try and make sure we cap this out on a timely basis since Andor kind of just finished up at the time of our filming. Yeah,
and give people time to avoid spoilers from us for a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like we should say spoiler warning. Yes. Spoiler warning for Andor season 1, season 2, and I guess technically Rogue One. So if you haven't seen that,
just mute this, put it on another tab so we get the watch timers.
Yeah, like it, and then go watch those, come back.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, we will be right back with that.
Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Andor, which at the time of filming, I think just ended about 2 weeks ago. So it's freshly new. So we already said spoiler warning, but we're going to give you another chance in case you drifted off for a second. Spoilers ahead for season 1, season 2, and I guess Rogue One. But if you haven't seen Rogue One, come on, get with the program. So Andor probably was not the most anticipated series. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, you actually just started Andor, a few days ago?
Yeah, I would say I've been watching it this week.
Okay.
Span of 7 days-ish.
Okay. I am curious, for the fans too, because I'm sure there's people who are still on the fence of watching Andor. What made you hesitate to watch it? And then we'll go into, was it worth watching? Yeah.
And I think I've voiced this in a few videos of it just seemed like an odd project to make. Arguably, his story was all just told in Rogue One. He for all intents and purposes, he was just supposed to be this rebel spy, whatever, Yeah. And I'll stand on that a little bit later in some of my explanations. Yep. So it seemed like an odd choice. I've also know that it's more story driven. It's not as fast paced. So knowing that I actually fell behind when it came out. For whatever reason, I was just kind of putting off sitting down, knowing it was going to be a slow start, and knowing it wasn't my peak interest in the world. Yeah. It's always something I knew that I was going to watch. Again, I think you should always come around to something, in Star Wars and watch it at some point. But I think the hesitancy with me was the story for me was already complete, and I knew it was a little bit slower of a story and a little more dialogue world-building driven, in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it is slow-paced a little bit. What I love about Andor is this is like one of my biggest complaints with Star Wars sometimes is it doesn't evolve with the fan base. Like we watched prequels when we were kids, and George Lucas made them for kids. That's what he said. This one is not for kids. Like you actually have to pay attention. There's complex conversations. There's kind of probably the most violent Star Wars movie we've seen in a while. That's one of my favorite things about it is that it feels mature and grown up compared to other Star Wars projects.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of my flow for this is there's just a few things that like it being fresh in my mind that I kind of wanted to talk about that I had like problems with, things I thought did well. So I'll be curious to see how you think about those, and then I also have some questions for you kind of at the end.
Yep.
I guess my big problem with a series like Andor, and again, I guess I'll preface this. I really enjoyed the watch through. I'd highly recommend it. Very high quality production. The big problem for me is Star Wars seems to be doing the same thing where we tell a story and then we go back and tell it again, and it undoubtedly changes things. I feel that it has made some things in Rogue One inconsistent. I mentioned this one specifically when I was watching it with you. K2SO's armor. Like, in the Gorman... Yeah, we already said spoilers. In the Gorman Massacre and stuff, you cannot shut these things down. Blaster fire is just bouncing off. Like, they had to drive practically like a tank through this thing, and then he was still powered up for half of that, and then he went down. In Rogue One, each shot that he takes visually knocks him back and actually goes through him. To me, I'm like, where's the
consistency?
Is he bulletproof? Is he not? Because it's not like none of the blasters in Andor did anything to the K2 units.
I don't think there was one time that a blaster actually affected a K2
So
unit.
to me, I'm like...
So, I've seen a couple fan theories, and obviously this is not canon, it's just theories. First one is that they have some type of shield thing on them that wears off over time. I have a problem with that theory because K2 gets... Or Jyn, Urso, one-shots the K unit that's not K2. So that's a problem. The second theory was that, for at least K2, he was rebuilt.
Yeah.
So he was more susceptible. He was shot at when he was going to get him, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Because in Andor Season 2, he gets shot at plenty of times and just tanks them all.
I forget what the third one is, but I know I saw a couple of them out there. I tend to look past it. I mean, I get it. I don't just... But I get it. I get the problem with it because I had the problem with it.
I just, at the end of the day, I'm not going to, not watch it because of something like that. But I'm kind of just like, why do we keep doing this? The second one that I have, to me, personally, it seems like Bail Organa's character is different. And I know it's a different actor portraying it.
He looks different.
And he did a great job. I don't think they could have picked a better actor. Love him and love the original Bale. But this one seems far more dark and broody. He seems far more power driven, and I just don't get that. He's always to me been a good guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's the worst human being in this.
I'm trying to remember, what were his scenes in Rogue One like? I know he's talking to Mon Mothma for a second in Rogue One, and he goes, "The Jedi will fetch for him. I'll prepare go back to Alderaan to prepare him."
I think that's about
it. That's it.
I think so.
And then he just shows up. Okay, so they don't have a lot to go off with, post Clone Wars with Bail. But he does look like this joyous person still, even in that short scene. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, okay. Again, not a problem that I'm like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess they did fairly good consistency. I guess my biggest thing, and maybe people disagree, I think they fundamentally changed Andor as a character. I don't, and a lot of you guys, I think, are going to argue that, oh no, this actually explains why he acted the way he did in Rogue One. Disagree.
How so?
Disagree
I'm
because
curious.
If you just watch Rogue One, no offense, I think he's a bit of a jerk. I think he is in Rogue One. He's a jerk.
Oh,
and he's also hard to trust. He's willing to just kill and do whatever for the rebellion. And all of this, right? He's willing to do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point but Andor then tries to make you feel sorry for him in typical film fashion. But then his whole journey is being his own person, and he hasn't just killed away. In fact, he condemns Luthen for just killing people. He definitely does. He fundamentally leaves Luthen's envoy or whatever because he doesn't like the way that Luthen's willing to sacrifice people. And at the end of Andor 2, he already is again disobeying orders to the rebellion. He's doing what he went to rescue that person. That's his MO. So then they turn him into this good guy. And then you jump right back into Rogue One and he kills the
Tivik.
Yes,
yeah, so Tivik trusted
immediately, and then continues to be a jerkwad till halfway through the movie. How does that make sense? Well, he's supposed to be enlightened at the end of Andor season 2 and joyous and all that. To me, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but to me they fundamentally changed his character.
I guess I don't see it the way you do.
Okay.
We see him kill people throughout the show and it affects him. And even when he kills Tivik, there's a little, a itch. Yeah, no, there is, I promise you. Well, roll the clip.
I don't think there is, because then he's willing to just Galen Erso.
He hesitated on that one.
He hesitated because of Jin.
Jin, yes.
So
but he was going to do it. But I feel like that's still on par. Well, Galen Erso was presumed Imperial. I think he has no problem killing Imperials. He didn't have, when he was escorting Mon Mothma out of the Senate building, he just shot her driver.
No, I agree.
No issue.
But upon instantly knowing Jin and her explaining the situation, and also at the end, there's this whole conspiracy that the Rebel Alliance doesn't believe Andor on. So then how come when Jin says, I literally know what the super weapon is and I got this message from my dad, he doesn't believe it either? Nobody necessarily believes it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Andor's skeptical of the message she heard.
Yeah, knowing he just went through that same thing. And that's where I think there's character inconsistency.
That would probably be the biggest inconsistency that I would give a point to, for sure.
Because we're talking end of Andor season 2, and Rogue One is a day apart? If that.
Well, at the end of Andor, it's
he's
gotta be a day.
Yeah. It just seems like he went from being this finally fully accomplished character at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
He knows what his role is. He knows he's got a feeling of fate about him, right? Destiny. To being rude again and to going back to his ways that he started with Luthen in. So it just seems a little odd.
I think I separate these two personalities a little bit. I think with the people that he knows, he is that person. I think he's still the same person that he was with, when he met Luthen, to other people that he doesn't know and doesn't trust. That's how I take it. That's how I see his personality. I think we see that quite often.
Okay.
But to your point, I wish that you didn't bring that up, because now it has me rethinking a couple things. Because you may bring up a good point. Why would he not trust Jin on that? You have multiple sources now.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm going to make a case for it, Jin, her father isn't Imperial. It's a little sketchy. They're already skeptical of the plan.
But her father grew up with Saw.
Well, was he actually skeptical of... He already knew the Death Star was real. Well, so what was he skeptical of, actually?
That it was
just
the
her,
exhaust
just
port
her,
and the whole idea of destroying.
That there was such a big flaw.
Yeah.
That the plans were on Scarif. That's what he was skeptical about, or convincing.
I think just the whole thing. I guess because Jin was the only one that actually saw the message, right? And he goes, "Did you get the message? Did you get he?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
I think it's because he's more worried about because obviously we just saw the senators be like, yeah, we can't just go off of Luthen's word.
But he's got no problem going against what the senators say to do. So
But he needs, like, you can't go to Scarif just, well, they ended up doing that, but...
No, but,
you need some
they wanted
support.
to kill Galen Erso, and he didn't believe her enough to not kill him.
Eventually, yeah. But he didn't end up firing.
But I'm saying it just seems odd for him to have such a big conflict about that.
You know what this conversation kind of sounds like? Huh. Cassian and Jin. It's like I'm Cassian right now. I'm trying to justify that I didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I don't know. And I digress at the point, like, again, whether it's change his character for good or not and fleshing it out, it was fun to see. I just think that's consistent problem of we make a movie and then we go back in time.
Okay.
Just like...
See, I'm so shocked that you, like, are... I know you liked Andor.
Yeah.
I thought you would have liked it more, especially if you guys watched last week. He put Rogue One as his number one, as your number one.
Yeah, and again, like I
thought you were going to put Andor on a pedestal. Like I am.
No, I mean, I've got a bunch of good things, but it's also like, I've got to get those out front and say, I feel like we keep digging ourselves a hole as Star Wars fans by making a project and then going back.
That's like it's an
hard. Why would you do that?
Because it's really hard to do. You got to stick with canon events and you stick with character.
Yeah.
You either have to turn them into that person, or just keep them the same person the whole time. Yeah. Like, those are the two options.
And again, then it doesn't explain why, like, okay, knowing how close some of those characters in Andor were with Cassian, why did they not volunteer to go to Scarif? Vel, Wellman. I think Clea would have too.
She was in the infirmary.
So maybe it's a soft pass there. Yeah. But all the others,
soft pass.
You would think that, like, Melshi was on the front line. He was like volunteer. He volunteered for the initial batch.
Yeah.
Vel
probably would have gone. Although at the end of it, she seemed like she was not into it anymore.
I know. It just seems. I don't know.
I don't know either, but
it's just another thing.
It's like
making it harder on you. You guys are making it harder on yourself, didn't he? Just make the Andor show, then make Rogue One, then I don't know.
Or you just take the whole cast of Rogue One and just replace those actors with. I'm sorry to the actors. Like, I don't want to. The actors did a great job. I'm sorry, but like if you just take random characters from Rogue One and plug them into the role of Val, like I won't complain about that. Like it seems a lot easier than I think it is.
Yeah. So that was all. That was only my complaints. I feel like I gotta throw like a good thing in. Truly, I think great story. Like. Again, I was skeptical to start of what they were actually going to do with his character.
I was too.
But I think they fleshed him out very well between season 1 and season 2. He certainly develops into somebody that is becoming a part of a larger universe, not just there by himself. Right? You see him slowly. I would say make friends. I would say they
obviously he had Bix from the start.
Yeah. Melshi seems to be a friend.
Melshi and
Vel seems to have ended up as a friend.
They seem to have some
enough.
Yes, enough. Like a trust-ish.
There. Yeah, well, like she knows where Bix is. She knows. Yeah. So like.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah. So I think great story. The cinematography is great. There's the scene. I know a lot of people have referenced this where Andor's standing in the door of his circular door, and it looks like the rebel symbol. Like he makes the rebel symbol.
Yeah.
So I think that's great cinematography, great planning on the production team's part. I also thought that bringing back a lot of the Rogue One cast was good. And I guess a lot's a stretch, but they made an effort at the end to show the one alien, I think, that lands on the beach with them.
The one that screams?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
They also obviously made an effort to show Melshi. They made an effort to show General, what's his name? Durban? It's not Durban.
No.
Darvin?
No, I think it is Durban.
Darvin?
No, what? No,
Darvin?
Maybe. They all sound right. Yeah. They all sound right.
And also with like Saw's crew. You see the guy with the mask, you see the big, essentially Wampa looking thingy, like you see a lot of consistencies, so I appreciate them taking the time to get those details.
Yep. They try, and it's like, it's really hard to do that. You know who, speaking of good things, you know who stole the show for me?
Cyril.
I don't relate with him at all.
Who?
Well, I don't relate with this character very well either, but Mon Mothma.
Okay.
redemption, like from Ahsoka. Do you remember her scenes in Ahsoka where Hera's talking to her and she's like not doing any action into like the return of Thrawn that's supposedly coming? Totally redeemed.
But doesn't that also add to the inconsistency thing? Because she should be better at that point. She should know that.
I think somebody who has gone through losing her family, gone through the rebellion and leading one already, didn't want to admit that they had more to do. That's how I took it.
Okay.
That's like my justification for it.
Okay.
Because I'm just a total homer for her right now. Like, I think her speech was some of the best dialogue I've ever heard. Seeing her actually build up this alliance with Luthen was just incredible. I think she did an amazing job. Did you like Mon Mothma? Please tell me you did.
Yeah, I did.
I thought she was the best character in the show, so like that's how much I liked her. That's how much I liked her.
I thought she was a very good character. I don't know if it'd be my favorite character in the show. I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
Okay.
Certainly, I think she had actress with a great performance. I think again the speech was good and she brought a lot of value. So,
do you want to hear? You're gonna get really mad at this. You're gonna get really mad at this.
What?
She is challenging Leia and Padme for me as best female Star Wars character.
No.
I'm sorry. Like, that is probably my hottest take at all.
Here's why I'm going to say no. She has the benefit of the doubt of like, sorry, Padme, our only really experience with Padme. Mm-hmm. Well, how can you even say that?
Because how can I not? She has more screen time than it.
No, in the Clone Wars.
Okay, Clone Wars, yeah.
If you're talking live action, then I was going to say, I'm sorry, Padme got stuck with some of the worst dialogue. We've talked about this. The prequels had some not great dialogue.
And then carried the best.
And then Leia had, the problem of there being older movies. Mon's had 40 plus years to be written into being a better character.
I just think Mon did more for the rebellion. Oh boy.
Than Leia? No, she didn't.
I'm really going to get myself in trouble.
She didn't.
She did.
How did she?
She literally started it.
She didn't.
With Luthen. Oh, who started it then?
Luthen started it.
Luthen and Mon.
She was one of his donors. Luthen obviously seems very wealthy on his own, in my opinion. He was willing to pay Cassian Andor like 200,000 credits or something. Wasn't it?
Well, yes, but at the beginning, Luthen's asking her for money.
And she was worried about not being able to explain 400,000 gone. Luthen's willing to pay one guy that he just met 200,000.
No, she's worried about the money because the Empire is tracking her money movements.
Yeah.
So she has to be more careful. Like, she's willing to take... She's also, like, one of the first to publicly speak out against Emperor Palpatine.
One of, but not. Because the senator from the blue species.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she end up dying? I
don't know.
Yeah.
But so... I don't know. I think that's a bit outrageous. I think you're having a recency bias.
I might.
Because Leia, I'm sorry, actually put herself not only in the political arguments, but she put herself in the field in A New Hope. Like, she got captured. She was on the front line. She got those plans from Scarif. Why, come to think of it, why was Leia the one going on that ship to get the plans from Scarif? Why wasn't Mon Mothma?
Mon Mothma's like 50. Something. 60.
Doesn't matter. Well, all Mon Mothma did, arguably, was be a politician for the rebellion.
And that's
I don't think she had any tactical say, nor should she have, and had any of the planning. She essentially was just the red line approving something.
Maybe I'm assuming that she also helped plan out getting the plans for the Death Star too. The second Death Star. Remember, many Bothans died.
I did, but it doesn't mean she planned it out because she didn't plan out Scarif. She didn't plan out any of that. And she played second fiddle to Bail.
I mean, she had to be somewhat important. She became Chancellor after the rebellion.
Because she was the primary political figure for the rebellion. I just don't think...
Yeah! She was primary... Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah.
You need that role.
She didn't play a bigger role than...
Not to
mention Leia started the Resistance when the First Order came about.
We'll block the sequels for right now.
But you know what Mon Mothma did? She didn't want to believe that the Empire was rising again, even with Thrawn. That's not even the First Order.
We'll see what the consequences of that become. I just think she had the best scene in the series. Is probably my bias. Like, I've watched her speech probably 10 times over now on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't hate that.
I'm saying that she challenges. I'm not saying she overtook them at all. I think she's 3.
And though Ahsoka's not the top female in Star Wars?
In terms of live action, no.
Okay.
Like, her Ahsoka series was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
This is on par kind of with what you were saying. Like, I wrote this down. How does the feats in Andor and Rogue One like compare to what the Bothan spies did in the second?
Well, you know what's interesting? I was watching a TikTok earlier, like a couple days ago, and this guy said, I want a Rogue One 2 in terms of like how they got the second planes to the Death Star. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel like this one was probably like just... I feel like more high stakes. Rogue One was.
Oh, 100%.
From what I get from the Bothans is that they were literally just spies and they stole it. Like this was like a full scale.
Could have been an ISB.
Not to mention, I'm sorry. Like, why did they need plans for the Death Star 2? Just to know how to blow it up?
I don't know. They probably should have figured that out after the first one. Empire's kind of stupid though.
Or could we not have had regular attacks on the Death Star being built, so it never got built? I don't know. It's just, that's not even part of my question.
Yeah.
Just whose feat would you say is more impressive? The Bothans going for the second Death Star plans, knowing that the Empire's probably guarding them more than the first time, or the first time with no precedent on how to get it done?
The first time, for sure. I think at that point, let's see, Return of the Jedi takes 5 years after, roughly, ish. Or 4, whatever it is. It's a couple years. I feel like at that point, the Rebel Alliance had gained some sympathy. It might have turned some people naturally already working for the Empire. So I think they had more plans in the Empire than they did before.
Yeah.
So I think that could have been easier. And then the doubt that they faced along the way, like the Rebel Alliance, when they're going for Rogue One, this is like, all right, we're showing all our cards right now. Like, there's no holding back. The Empire knows we are a serious threat. We've assembled a navy. We are ready to go. And then, obviously, it's not all for nothing, but they lose half their fleet going for those plans.
Yeah.
And it was worth it. It was totally worth it, I think.
Yeah.
A couple Bothans dying. Sorry, Bothans. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. That's fair.
What did you think it was?
No. I would say I'm more impressed with Rogue One's feat. And again, Mon Mothma gets up though and makes a big deal about how many Bothans died to get us information. What about all the people that died in Rogue One?
Well, we didn't know that happened.
Not just random Bothan spies. You lost Captain Andor. You lost Jyn Erso, who had been part of Saw's faction when she was younger. You lost Saw Gerrera. I lumped that into there.
Oh, I think that she was happy that Saw killed him.
To an extent, yes. But like you lost Melshi, you lost you lost Admiral Radis, you lost Blue Leader, you lost half your fleet. We never see her take the stage and go, a lot of folks died to get here. She's just like, we've got the plans.
Maybe that's why she's so traumatized when she says it, because she's reminded of those events. She's like, oh my God, could be happening again.
Could be. Okay.
Maybe she lost Vel during that. Maybe Vel was a Bothan at that point.
What? That's not how that works.
I'm just kidding.
Vel just changed species?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 more questions, but I feel like it'd be a good time to take a break real quick. That's fine with you. Welcome back, guys. As promised, we're just trying to make sure this is the best experience for you guys, so sometimes it involves us checking our audio equipment and camera equipment. Like I said, I have kind of 2 more questions that I thought of. One of them being, I kind of addressed this earlier, but do you feel like there are any glaring complications with the story from Andor to Rogue One?
I didn't realize a couple, like you were talking about the inconsistencies earlier. Other than the ones we've covered already, I don't see a lot of inconsistencies. But I'm assuming that you did a little bit.
No, I mean I covered most of mine. I feel like I want to go back and look more at Saw's character, to see what's going on there. But
I wish they had a closer relationship with Saw. I would have liked to see him more involved in the series. He is crazy though.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen
Gotta be.
so.
What did he say? Do you think I'm crazy? Revolution's not for the sane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when he's breathing in the rhodanium, is it?
Rhodonium.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why. I think it was a good thing that Saw died. That was not a good image for the Rebel Alliance. I think he couldn't have lasted much longer into the rebellion if they wanted more sympathizers.
Yeah.
His way of going about things was not exactly... Not that the rebels ever had the moral high ground necessarily, but he definitely did not.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this one. I struggle to decide if this is an inconsistency for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to talk to me about this first from if you've only ever seen Rogue One.
Okay.
And then now having seen Andor, does this change your answer? Do you feel like there was ever romance or tension between Jyn and Cassian?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was a romantic tension, but...
And is that just after viewing Rogue One?
Yes.
So now having seen Andor, no?
I still think yes.
Okay.
I still think yes. I think... I read a whole comment section about this because people were like, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he has the hots for Jyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think both can be true. I think he saw a good side of Jyn that he liked. Bix had been gone for at least a year or two.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is she still in the back of his head? Probably. But, I mean, Jyn, I think someone put it really nicely. Jyn was the woman he needed to fight the war. Bix was the person for him outside of the war. Bix couldn't handle the conflict. Is how I read it, and that's why he felt so connected to Jyn. Is like, I can see us going through the war together instead of wanting to get out of it for somebody. That's how I read it, and I still agree with that. I think it's fine. You're gonna have multiple love interests, especially after you take a year break from somebody, or somebody that abandoned you the way Bix did. He was probably so mad at her.
Yeah,
it was probably not. He probably loved her, but was super mad at Bix. And I know you got a lot to say about Bix.
Before I get into that, so like I feel like personally, if I could change one of these things in Andor season 2, at the end when Val says, "Oh, you should reach back out to Bix," I don't think they should have said that.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah,
because then there should be no reason he has romantic interest in Jyn. Without that, it perfectly aligns with this woman's been gone for a year or two. She kind of just left him up and dry, said the rebellion's more important type thing. Yeah. So then I feel like, okay, there's more opening for that romantic connection. And I'll die on this hill. There was romantic tension between them in Rogue One. Yeah. So I guess now thinking about it, I would classify it as an inconsistency because I think now they're trying to be like, there was no romantic connection.
At least they didn't kiss though.
Yeah.
Because
they did follow through. It just felt like, there was something more than just, I don't know, coworkers there. Yeah,
100% that. When they're riding the elevator on the way down and they're just looking at each other in the eye, I'm like, what?
Thinking of Bix right now.
I was like, I'm getting a little uncomfortable in my seat right now. Like, are you guys gonna kiss or what?
So, to me it's just like, but on the issue of Bix.
Oh no.
Listen.
He's been waiting for this.
I am pissed. I'm frustrated. Because I'm sorry, it's completely unrealistic, and I think Bix is a coward. This is going to get me a lot of hate online potentially. Bix is a coward.
I'm going to defend Bix, but you keep going.
I don't care what you say. At this point when she's debating to leave Cassian so he continues with the rebellion or not, he's already risked his life a plethora of time. Gorman,
even more time.
Aldani, X, Y, and Z. He's just done it a plethora of time for this rebellion. All right. All because he wants to come home to you.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. Not to mention, it's alluding to the fact that they have a kid.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that she loves him and he loves her. Not to mention, she has played almost no role in the rebellion at all. Outside of selling items to Luthen in the beginning of the show.
And then she did blow up the doctor's office.
She blew up the doctors because of trauma and personal.
Yeah, that was more personal. Because
she couldn't sleep and because she couldn't handle her life.
Yeah.
And yet Cassian's got to witness the atrocities on Gorman and all those, and he's not going into that personal realm. He's keeping it. And he finally comes back and says, I'm done with it. Somebody else can do it because I want this with you.
Yeah.
And she, in the middle of the night, leaves. You're a coward, both emotionally and when it comes to action, right? Because you're going to sit here and be like, you need to help the rebellion when you're going to live in the hayfields with a pretty cushy life.
Who's the red droid? I love that droid. That's over there.
B?
Yes.
Yeah.
She gets to go over with him.
Yeah.
That's the best droid ever.
She gets the cushiest life she could get in the current situation, in my opinion. And you're practically just making Cassian stay, and you're guilt tripping him. I'm leaving.
Guilt tripping him to stay?
Yeah. Yeah. Knowing you are playing no part, and this person only wants to be with you at this point. And you have a kid with him. Or you don't have a kid with him, and you waited a year and then got pregnant for somebody else, so there's no positive for you there. There's none. Again, no problem. To the actress, none at all.
She actually did a really good job up to that point.
Yes. Yeah. None.
She still did a great job after, but
none at all with the actress, but no, inexcusable. Inexcusable.
Okay, I'm gonna try to defend her. Although I agree with you, I think she, at the very minimum, should have tried to convince him to stay for a while,
or volunteered. All right, let's both be in this fight.
Well, I don't think that's. I don't think Cassian would have wanted.
If you don't die, come fight me. No. Okay. Anyway, go on.
I don't think Cassian would have wanted her in the fight. Is the thing.
You think he wanted her to leave in the middle of the night?
No, that's not my point. My point is she didn't have the option to say, "Oh, I want to join them." Although that sounds bad. It sounds like Andor's telling her what to do. That sounds bad. But my point is there's no way Andor would have been like, "Oh yeah, especially if she had a baby. There's no way you're going out there to fight." So number one, that didn't really seem like an option for her. So then number two, and probably should have been my number one reason, is when that Force healer was going with Andor, she felt his fate, and then Bix went back to ask about it and said that he had a very important role or something along those lines. Something kind of vague and mysterious, obviously. So that's why she felt like she had to leave. I'm not trying to... I completely agree with you. She should have tried harder to get him to stay without just packing up and leaving in the middle of the night, which is super immature.
I'm also going to argue somebody else could have filled Andor's role. I know he's supposed to be one of their best, but at the end of the day, he's only a captain, so they clearly feel that they have other specialists.
So was Rex.
What about Vel? Vel was essentially in the same role as Cassian. Cassian's made out to be slightly better, but I don't know that there was anything that Cassian specifically did that some of the other characters couldn't.
I mean, he doesn't have the best feats in the world.
Plus, Cassian is probably more well known by the Empire at this point.
He should be, but you never know. The Empire is kind of arrogant when it comes to those things. He should be, though. He should be. I don't know. Poor Bix.
No,
we just ripped her to shreds. Yeah. People love her. You're gonna take a lot of flack for that, I think.
I'm fine taking flack for that. Justify her actions in the comic for me, because you can't. Again, I like her character. I like her actress. What she did was being a coward. I think that's I think that's fair for me to say.
Is it realistic for somebody to do that? Do you think?
Depends on how much she knew. If she was aware of the pregnancy, then I would hope not. Because, I don't know. That adds a whole nother level of you're pretty messed up. Because you're essentially sacrificing your husband for the rebellion so that you and your kid can
be happy.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, would you rather die with your kid and husband?
Why would they need to die?
Well,
there's no guarantee that the other plans wouldn't have happened.
Okay, I was assuming that she was going to force Cassian to stay in the fight, but would stay on Yavin. Like, that's the only way I'd see it working from Bix's perspective. Like, that was the only way. Cassian still had to fight.
Okay.
I think if she just stayed on Yavin, though, he might have just stayed in. She should have just been in his ear. Go.
Yeah.
You know? Something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I got this pet peeve. Why does every, like, new, like, suave guy or girl character have to be just an ace pilot? Cassian's a pilot. He's a... Han's a pilot. We get, like, Knights of the Old Republic, the gunslinger. He's a pilot. Anakin's a pilot. Like, they're all just... Poe Dameron, he's a suave pilot.
Well, I mean...
How many best pilots in the galaxy are there?
I mean, Cassian's not the best.
No, but he's made out to be the super skilled pilot.
I think it wasn't... I think it was he knew how to fly a lot of different things. I mean, yeah, he says he's a pilot, but, like... I don't think he's arrogant about his piloting skills. Right? He's like, oh...
It just feels like, why does it...
Yeah.
Do we not...
I mean, I get your point. Like... Do something else.
Yeah.
Get away from that.
Lando fits that type too. Suave pilot.
I think Lando's more known for his skills.
No.
Flirting.
Yeah. No. Yes, he is. Yeah. But like he's a pilot.
Yeah.
He pilots his craft. Like it just feels like I feel like we can explore other tropes than the good pilot. Mm-hmm. They've done very well with, and a lot of these are like iconic characters. Mm-hmm. But how many times can the main character be a pilot?
I mean, it is an essential skill.
Rey. Add Rey to the list. She just knows how to fly really well.
Okay, well that one's a totally...
No, but...
I hate that she's a good pilot.
But
right from the start.
Fits what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Force was obviously with Cassian. That's what I did like. I think that was an underrated aspect, is that the Force was manipulating things in small and minute ways. Like, he was supposed to be there and supposed to do these things, and the Force was actually going towards balance, like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think some of the better things about Rogue One and Andor in general are that it doesn't need lightsabers to succeed. Yeah. I think sometimes we chalk up Star Wars to being filled with lightsabers, and that's what Star Wars is. These are the very few, if not the only projects that don't have lightsabers. And I'm not counting Darth Vader's scene at the end of Rogue One. That's there just to be cool, if I'm being honest.
And it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, people would have been mad if Darth Vader didn't show up.
Yeah.
Disney would have flopped a little bit harder.
So, like, I feel like that's cool, and it makes me reassured that we're continuing to expand in a good way in the universe, and we're not reliant on storytelling with lightsabers.
Yeah, and this had some of the best storytelling. I don't think there was, other than Bix for You, I don't think I had a problem with any character at all. I thought their stories were pretty good. I don't think there was a problem. I liked Clea, Luthen, Cyril. Even he had a pretty interesting
His arc,
way.
Okay, I guess that would be my only complaint. Also, I forgot to mention this, like the time skips in Andor Season 2. I almost think they could have just done 3 seasons. Because it felt like you jumped to like 2 separate times in Season 2. Maybe 3.
A year or 2 each time.
Yeah. And it left me... I can vividly remember 2 of those occasions thinking, oh, did I skip an episode? And I went back to look and I was like, oh, no, okay. It's just, I don't know.
I think they were worried about fatigue. Because you knew where it was going to.
Yeah.
Ish. It's like, and when you know where it's going, it's like, couldn't we just get there already? I think they were worried about that. Time jumps didn't bother me any. It just is like, oh, he actually left Luthen. Oh, okay, he's on Yavin now. Like, I would have liked to see that fall out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think we did see it a little bit, but like, he was on Yavin for a year. What's he doing?
Yeah.
What's the Rebel Alliance doing? I don't know.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
That was the only thing that I would have wanted to see. I had no problem with the jumps in general, because it helped with getting to the conclusion quicker, because I was getting impatient.
Okay, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Any other thoughts for you?
Is this too early to do? You might have recency bias. Where does it rank amongst... We don't have to do it right now. I honestly, if you don't think you're ready, I'm ready to
amongst live action shows.
The live action shows, yeah. I think it could... Never mind.
Just live action.
I'm going to wait on that take.
Just live action.
Just live action.
Maybe
we should do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to save it for a whole episode because I can tell you, but
go for it. We can do it.
I mean, I would say, trying to keep recency bias in check, I would say it's probably number one in live action shows right now. But Mandalorian season 1 when it came out was pretty darn good. Even season 2 held up very strongly. And then there's hints in Ahsoka, there's hints in Obi-Wan. But in terms of full fleshed out story, it's probably number 1, but it's the only one with 2 seasons besides Mandalorian right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I put it number 1 by sizable margin.
Okay.
I do say season 2, I think, is leaps and bounds better than season 1. I think they kind of found their stride a little bit. Do you agree? Season 2 better than season 1?
I would say season 2 was better. It was better paced, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, okay. I think that's it for us here. So thank you guys for joining us. Continue to support the podcast. You know, it really does mean a lot if you guys are liking, sharing, whatever with our content. We're trying to make some big changes. We mentioned in a prior episode that we're going to be selling shirts here soon. So any way that you guys can find to support the podcast, we greatly appreciate it.
Follow Red Squadron Pod, Instagram, TikTok. Boom.
Yeah.
That'll help a lot.
We post on the TikTok daily.
Ish.
Yeah. Well, we're getting back
to
posting
there.
daily.
Yeah.
We post on the Instagram handful of times a week, and we're trying to get some shorts up on YouTube as well. So we'll be trying to upload more consistent content for you guys, but stay tuned, and we love having you.
Appreciate you guys.
See ya.